Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the May 2020 meeting of the Town of Kent Planning Board. I would ask you all to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and you can watch any of the flags on the board. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it
stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now what happened? Has everybody read the minutes from the March meeting?
Yep.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
Nope.
All right, I'm going to ask you each to vote for or against it.
Phil, can you
Yes.
go around and, it's suggested to do for each planning board member to introduce themselves, that they are a planning board member and that they're alone in the room.
You hear
Sorry
that,
to
everybody?
interrupt.
I'm going to ask you to vote on this, but also say that. Give us your name and that you're alone. And I'm Phil Tolmack, and I'm alone in my room, if you don't count my cats. Charlie, how do you vote?
My name is Charles Sisto. I'm a member of the planning board, and I'm alone in the room also.
And how do you vote on the minutes from the March meeting?
I vote to accept them. Yes.
Stephen,
My name is Stephen Wilhelm. I'm a planning board member for the town of Kent, and I vote yes. And I'm alone in the room.
Nissim,
Hi, my name is Nassim Sachakov. I'm alone in the room. I'm a Town of Kent planning board member, and I accept the meetings.
Dennis,
I'm Dennis Laws. I approve the minutes of the March meeting.
and Gian.
Hello, everybody. My name is Giancarlo Gattucci. I am alone until my kids come barging down the door, and I accept the minutes from last month.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to say at the beginning of the meeting that I know that all the members of the planning board, our consultants, and our secretary, Vera Patterson, would join me in giving a shout out to all the healthcare workers, police, fire people, teachers who are going out of their way at these times. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shall we start with Othma? Richie, you have something you want to present for us?
My engineer's here, so I think he's got the questions that Bruce and Julie had addressed.
Yeah, John, do you want to give us a short
Yeah,
version of what's going on?
Basically, it's probably a little hard to see the plan here, but what we're here tonight. I'm John Callan, by the way, from DC Engineering, and yes, I am alone by myself here. We're here tonight to go for an erosion and sediment control permit, site plan approval, I guess, for Rich Othmer. It's building a single-family residence at the corner of Churchill Road and North Horsepound Road. Part of the project involves the construction of the residence, a driveway or finishing of an existing driveway, construction of a septic and well, along with some minor erosion control features. It's a real simple project, not much in the way of anything going on. There's some wetlands off property and below, some steep slopes that will not be developed up above him. And as per our meeting last week, we were able to redesign a little bit of the driveway to comply with the town code. You know, that's basically it. It's a pretty simple job.
Thank you. Liz or Bruce or Julie? You want to jump
I'm
in
just
here?
going to introduce myself. My name is Liz Axelson. I'm a planning consultant to the planning board, and I defer to the engineer and the environmental consultant.
Thank you. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, Julie.
All right, I'm Julie Mangarillo. I'm the consulting engineer for the planning board from Rodi Soika and Engineers. So at the workshop last week, previously there had been 2 waiver requests. one for the extent of the topography and a second one for the driveway. During the workshop last week, in discussions with the applicant and the applicant's engineer, they were going to take another look at reworking the driveway so that a waiver would not be necessary. So it looks like they've been able to regrade the driveway, and now it's conforming to the Town of Kent Town Driveway Code. So the driveway waiver doesn't appear to be necessary anymore. They've also provided some a little bit of additional topo. So they've just about made the 50 feet of topography beyond the limits of disturbance in just about the whole for the whole site. But I would say just to be safe, to still go ahead with the waiver request for the topography. I issued comments last night. The majority of my comments from my previous memo have been addressed. There's just a couple others to change a couple of notes, add a couple of notes, but it seems like just about everything has been addressed, and I think would be able to be addressed by next month. And as is typical for a single-family home, new single-family home, we're going to recommend having the public hearing.
Great. Thank you, Julie. Bruce?
Good evening. My name is Bruce Barber. I'm the town's environmental consultant. This is an application to construct a 1,300 square foot single-family residence with a front porch, deck and patio, well and septic systems, and a driveway grade on approximately 3.22 acre parcel in an R40 zoning district. The parcel is situated on the southerly side of the intersection of North Horsepound Road and Churchill Road. And at one time, the site had been improved with a house and barn, which have since been demolished due to fire damage. At present, the only permit required before the planning board is a steep slope or erosion sediment control permit, as Julie alluded to. There are currently no existing zoning issues. The property is compliant with the zoning code in terms of its setbacks and area coverage. This is a type 2 action under seeker. I conducted a site inspection on April 22nd of this year. The inspection confirmed the location of the wetland boundaries as shown on the plans provided by the applicant. The applicant does not propose any disturbance within the wetland or wetland buffer, and therefore a town wetland permit is not required from this board. Additionally, there is a DEC or state wetland located across the street. The applicant's limit of disturbance does not encroach within 100 feet of the state wetland, and therefore a state wetland permit is also not required. The applicant has indicated that there are no trees to be cut as part of the proposed action and has requested a waiver from preparation of a tree plan. There is a small section of steep slopes between roughly the house and the septic system that will be graded out, but it is minimal in location, and erosion sediment control plan has been provided. There is no evidence of disturbance to areas of rock outcropping. There are several small piles of soil which are noted at the end of the existing driveway. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, but the applicant has indicated that that material is actually topsoil, which was stripped from the subject site and stockpiled in that location. Is that correct?
Yeah, when we did the test holes, we just piled it up on the side, so we didn't waste it.
Okay.
I didn't want to backfill the hole with the good soil.
As Julie indicated, the applicant has requested a waiver of the total topographic map on the site. The proposed disturbance is 0.43 acres. The applicant has received well and septic system approvals as well as a Board of Health approval for abandonment of an existing well on the property. I have very minimal remaining comments. Actually, one of them has been satisfied in that the applicant has provided a letter from the applicant, Alexander Othmer, to allow Richard Othmer to apply for certain approvals based on the Board of Health on his behalf. And Richie, I did not see, or John, I saw sections of a survey. Is there a complete one-sheet survey that's been or could be provided with the surveyor's seal on the plans?
Yes, John Decker came down from Red Hook last week, and we placed the house, and I was hoping to have it by tonight, but the survey, to place the house, so to make sure I'm in the proper setbacks, it's on the way, and it's probably going to be done tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday. I can get that to you right away, but I'm, you know, it's like, it's 3¼ acres, so I'm well within the boundaries, but I have to provide that to the building department also. So that's, I was hoping to have it tonight, but I'll definitely have it in a day or two.
Okay, so, and John, John Kelly, you don't feel any substantive changes would be necessary? That survey would not modify your site plan materially?
No, not at all. Again, we're well within the boundaries, as Rich said. It's kind of defined by the road's edges and Rich's property on 3 sides. So we're very confident that it's in the right spot and that survey is accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, three out of the four boundaries, border roads or land, there's only one, the backside goes into the forest.
Very
And,
good.
The stakes are there.
So the survey is the only remaining open comment that I have. I agree with Julie and recommend to the planning board that this be scheduled for the public hearing for the meeting in June.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. Liz, you have something to add? No? Gentlemen, any questions, comments? Can we have a vote to schedule the hearing for next month,
June 11th.
June 11th?
I make that motion.
Who wants to second?
I'll
it?
second it.
Thank you. Charlie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Stephen? Nisim?
Aye.
Dennis?
Yep.
Giancarlo?
Aye.
And I vote aye too. So that passes. We'll have the public hearing next month. Do we have to vote on anything else for this application?
Acceptance of the waiver, maybe?
Just the waivers, Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing.
The waivers.
Phrase it for me, please.
Fee waiver and waiver of a complete topographic.
Again, I didn't hear it.
I'm sorry, I apologize. The waivers for the applicant are pending if the board chooses to vote on them. That would be for a tree survey as well as a complete topographic map.
How do you feel, gentlemen? Should we vote on this?
I'd like to waive it.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a
Can I get a motion to waive the 2 items that Bruce just discussed?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second, please?
I'll second it.
I'll go from back to front now. Giancarlo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dennis?
Well,
Nisim?
Yes.
Stephen?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
And I vote aye too. Have we taken care of everything on this?
Yes.
There you go, Richie.
Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Take care.
hey, John,
You too.
John, thanks for setting up some good sets of plans. Makes it a whole lot easier to work with good material.
Right. That's right. Good, good. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you, everybody.
Good night.
Next, Fregosi Marinelli.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi.
Aye.
Hi.
How are you? How's it going?
Hello.
Could you just give us a brief account of what you're giving us?
And could you
Your
introduce
proposal.
yourselves also for the record?
I'm sorry? Oh, yes. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Mark Marinelli. This is my wife, Brianna Marinelli, and Joe Fregosi. He's going to be building, our builder.
Just for the record, give us an overview of what you're proposing.
Well, we had some comments a couple months ago. We're just promoting, they want to just, we're a single family home, right?
Yeah.
On the property.
Okay, thank you.
If somebody has a lot of background noise, can you guys please mute if you're not speaking, please? And do not watch the live feed because it's going to echo and feedback.
Liz?
It's not me. I
No,
don't-
I'm not blaming, I'm saying let's
Okay.
continue.
Okay. I don't have any comments on this application.
Yeah, so
Julie?
for, I'm gonna jump in. For a little background, they were before us back in January, February 2019. And Bruce and Bill Walters and I had done a site visit, and there were some structures of unknown date and origin. So since that time, they've done a lot of work and gotten a response letter from New York State OPRHP, which says that it's the structures are part of an estate. They're not eligible to be considered historic, so they'll have no adverse impact, which is a very exciting thing. I'm sure that was very exciting for them. So now they're in a position to move forward. Now that paperwork's done, OPRHP said there's no problem, go ahead and move ahead. So I had issued a memo April 3rd that went through additional information that's needed, all of the standard information. So now they can take that to their engineer and provide a response, and we can, continue with the typical review.
Very good. Thank you, Julie. Bruce, you have something for us?
Yeah, just very similar to what Julie just indicated. My recollection also is that the applicant does not propose in any of their site disturbance to go near the foundation and stone area in question. So basically, this can continue. I had very minor comments remaining. Hopefully, they'll be returned very shortly, and we'll move this project forward.
Mr. Marinelli, do you have any questions for our consultants or for us?
Just on some of the comments that we received back, I don't understand them all, so I'm going to have him speak for me. But
please,
as far as deeds, I believe the deed. You guys have the deed, yeah, for ownership. And then the only thing I didn't understand that I could understand from the comments, without being a builder and engineer, I didn't understand what you guys meant as far as disclosure of business interest.
Okay, I can answer those questions. So initially, the application was put in, I believe, with Mr. Fergosi's name, because at the time, I think the property was owned by him. And then now it's in your guys' name. So just all of the paperwork should all be lined up to just be in whoever owns the property now name. That's okay. All that is. The disclosure of business interest is a form that's part of the town combined application packet, and it just, you just state whether or not you or a family member is a town employee.
Okay.
So if nobody's a town employee, then you just write none and sign and get it notarized, and that's all that is.
No.
All right.
Perfect.
Basically, we're waiting on Roy to finish up the site plan, and I think that should be about it. You had a comment stipulating that the survey originally, when they did the subdivision there, they had all the driveways coming off of Miller Hill Road.
Okay.
They could not do that. So what they did was put a common, well, it would be a private drive going into the site, and that's where everybody is using for their driveways.
Okay.
We have a common driveway that the neighbor
has an
easement to go through our property for his driveway. But basically, it's all blacktopped and everything else, and it's been like that for years. So I was just wondering what that comment was about when you had it there.
So do you have the number? I have the memo, just.
I am looking myself right now.
You said pre-existing, right? This one?
Oh, on the last page, provide additional information and agreements on use of existing common driveway.
Yes.
Yeah, so if there's like a meets and bounds description of the area or a 50-foot right of way, that kind of thing that the neighbor's allowed to use, that should be shown on the survey. You know, if there's just an agreement that just describes it, if you have a copy of that and you can provide a copy of that, that would also be very helpful.
All right, I might have to get that from the neighbor because when they purchased the property, we didn't have anything on that, not unless it's in the deed, which I'll have to take a look.
Okay. Yeah, just any documentation you have that, you know, they're allowed to use it, and just so that, you know, we can have it on record in case there's an issue along the way.
Yeah, it's got to be on record. There's got to, you know, they had
yeah.
the easement to go through, so it's got to be somewhere.
We'll find it.
All right. Okay, but I should have all this stuff done probably next week or so. When do we have to have all the paperwork in to make the next meeting?
Vera, I don't know if you have the calendar in front of you. I think it should be, is it next week or 2 weeks? I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Our next plan review is on the 26th.
Right, so then the deadline would be the Friday before that.
Right.
19th?
The 19th, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we should have all the paperwork that we need for the next meeting.
Okay, so
Great.
now, as is typical for new homes, the public hearing is typically required. So I don't know if you guys feel like you're in a position you'll be able to answer enough of the comments in the next submittal that you'd like to request for the public hearing to be set for the June meeting, or if you think you need to hold off longer.
Well, let me see what we can do, and hopefully I will have all this information that we need for the next meeting.
So if you would like to have the public hearing in June, the planning board has to vote and set it for June now. So, I mean, you can request it, and if the planning board approves and opens it in June, even if there's some information missing, the public hearing could be held over to July. So, I mean, it's up to you, but if you're ready to, get moving, then it would probably be in your best interest to request the public hearing to be started in June.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, great.
Good.
So Phil, you need to make a motion on that.
Right. Julie, anything else?
No, that's it. We'll just wait on the resubmittal. But I think if their engineer answers most of his questions, by the June submittal deadline, then they'll be in good shape for the public hearing in June.
Great, thank you. Liz, do you have anything to add to this? Gentlemen, do you have any questions, comments? Can I get a motion to set the public hearing for our meeting in June, please?
Everybody
I'll make that
is muted.
motion.
And a second, please.
I'll second it.
Who made the motion?
John Carlo.
Okay, and the second?
Nassim Sachko.
Okay, thanks.
And Charlie, how do you vote?
He's muted.
Oh. Stephen, how do you vote?
Stephen is
Stephen?
muted too.
And mute all.
Nissim?
Yes.
Giancarlo?
Yes.
Dennis?
He needs to be unmuted.
Dennis, unmute yourself.
He is unmuted.
All right, I vote yes too. It passes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. See you
All right,
next
take
week.
care.
Thank you.
All right, have a good evening.
You
Be
too.
safe.
He's trying to say something.
Oh,
He's still trying to say something. He was not unmuted.
I
Oh,
can't.
Dennis?
Dennis, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, Dennis, we can't hear you.
Upper right, Dennis.
There he
Slow
goes.
left.
There you go.
There you
There,
go.
now.
Better?
Yes,
Yep,
now.
now.
I'm back. Okay. Send us in a copy of your current deed. I'm interested to see if that common driveway you're talking about is got easement rights for not only yourselves, but for other parties. And we should be able to see that in the legal paperwork there.
Yeah, I believe it is in there. I remember reading the deed and seeing something about the easement for the driveway in the deed. So I guess
Yeah, make a copy of that and send it in to Vera.
sounds good.
Yeah.
I
great.
believe I
Hey, thanks-
submitted
yeah,
that. I
Thanks a
believe I
lot.
submitted the deed before the meeting. I believe you do have it, but if not, we'll get another one.
Great, thank you.
Also,
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that'd be great.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay,
if
thanks a lot.
If I can just add one quick thing too, just to confirm, reaffirm what Julie said, if there is a formal maintenance agreement, as there often is, and you certainly would like to have that regarding the easement, care of the road, who plows it, who fixes it, please provide that along with the easement documentation to the board.
Okay, yeah, because there is an agreement, I guess it's some sort of homeowners association.
There you go.
So we just recently paid $1,800 for the care of the road.
Perfect.
And we submitted that maybe a month ago. We sent a check to somebody a couple months ago. Yeah, maybe in January or February, we sent the $1,800 in as our part in handling the road. So there's definitely that. I would probably just have to reach out to somebody, whoever sent the letter. We probably have a copy of the check or something that we could reach out to and get you guys that too.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And just sorry to be a pest, but I'm not certain that when you did the roll call vote, I believe, maybe I'm wrong here, that Dennis was still muted.
We should do it again?
No, I don't think you have to do it again. If Dennis could just acknowledge that he meant how he meant to vote to set the
Dennis,
hearing.
vote again for us.
It was on setting the hearing, Dennis.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
You got that, Vera?
Yep.
Good. Anything else on this?
I appreciate
Any
you
more
guys
questions for us?
doing the Zoom meeting for us.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
I appreciate you guys doing Zoom meetings and trying to move forward.
No problem. We'll see you then, unless you have any other questions.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Bye.
Night.
Real Budo?
I don't believe anybody's here for Real Budo.
Right.
They provided a new submittal. I had done a review memo in March or April, I think in April. Since that time, Bill Walters pointed out a piece of the zoning code where they can only have retaining walls 3 feet high. So their engineer was going to redesign the project with 3 foot high retaining walls instead of 4 foot high retaining walls. So I believe that's just been submitted. So we'll review that for the June meeting. And then hopefully in the June meeting, we'll also have enough information to recommend setting the bond. And then they should be on their way. So
Great. Thank you, Julie.
that's the update.
Questions, anyone? Who wants to do below the line? Lead us through.
So, all right. Lost my agenda.
NYC DEP.
I thought, sorry to
Oh.
interrupt, but do we have ALU and SSEL or are those off?
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
looking at what I think is right. Use
Oh,
yours.
my
I
bad.
don't know. Mine may be wrong.
Yeah, there's requests for bond releases for the ALU construction on Dean Road and the neighboring property SSEL also on Dean Road. So both of those projects had completed construction 2 years ago, and 90% of the bonds were released, and the town was holding 10% to make sure to get through the growing season So it's now been 2 years, so they fulfilled the full term of the bond, the 2 years. So based on that, we don't have any objection to releasing the remaining bond, but it is something that the planning board will have to vote on to recommend to the town board
Right.
to release the bond. So it's 2 separate projects. They just happen to be next door to each other.
And how should I call them?
The one is ALU,
Okay.
and that's tax map 10.-2.
Oh, I don't need all of that.
All right. Well, I don't have an
Alu
address.
and who else?
And then the other one is called SSEL Corporation. Also,
SSEL
correct.
Corporation. Thank you. Questions, anyone? Can I get I'm losing my mind here.
I'll make a motion to release.
A motion, yes.
SSEL.
Can we do them both together?
Probably one at a time would be better, I think,
Okay.
for the record.
Can I get a motion to return the money to Alu?
I'll make the motion.
And a second.
I'll second it.
Who does
Charlie, how
that
do you
now?
vote? I'm sorry?
I say, when you identify
That was
yourself and
Charlie.
make the motion. Charlie, okay, thanks.
Yes.
And Charlie votes yes. Stephen?
Yes.
Nisim?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Giancarlo?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Can I get a motion to return the bond to the SSEL Corp?
I'll make that motion.
Oh, they raised
Nisim? Who
Yep.
wants to second it?
I'll second it. Stephen.
Stephen seconds it.
Okay, good.
Charlie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Nisim?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Dennis? Giancarlo?
Yes.
And I vote yes too. Anything else on this?
That's it for those 2.
Thank you. You have to continue. I don't know if my agenda is correct.
So below the line is the DEP Bailey Brook Forest Management Project.
Right.
And I had issued my my comments a little bit late, but under the current precedent is to have a public hearing for logging or timber harvest projects. So even though they're below the line, my recommendation would be to set their public hearing for June. I'm expecting a updated submittal for the June meeting. So I think, similar to the Marinellis, they'll be in good shape to have the public hearing in June. So I don't know if the board would like to take that up or not.
Questions, anyone?
Mr. Chairman? Phil?
Yes, please.
Also, just to add to what Julie indicated, I heard from Dan Lawrence, the forester for DEP on Monday. We're going to try to get out to the property next week to verify the wetland delineations on site. That will then determine if the applicant also needs a wetland permit from this board in addition to the erosion sediment control. But as it is, I think we're able to get all that in time. So if the board is so inclined, they could schedule the public hearing, provided the applicant gets everything in place by the cutoff date.
So the 3 of you think we should schedule a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Questions, anybody? Can I get a motion to schedule the public hearing for this? Also June 11th, I believe it was.
I'll make that motion.
That's Dennis. And a second.
I'll second.
And Giancarlo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Nisim?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
And I vote yes also.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to turn Putnam Nursing and Route 52 Development over to Liz.
Okay. So on Putnam Nursing, they've made progress on their conditions of approval. The stormwater maintenance easement agreement was sent to the town board. They probably voted to allow Maureen to sign it, but I don't know yet, but that's my guess.
They did, I got the resolution.
Okay, thank you, Vera. And then I will do a sign-off letter as soon as I know the other items that remain, which I believe at this point are filing of easements. And the other thing is to make a determination about fees. And so this is the reason that I haven't rushed to do a sign-off. I'm aware that both Julie's and Bruce's comments have been addressed. Most of my comments have been addressed. Jeff Battistoni recently did some work to facilitate the applicant in getting those legal documents reviewed and sent where they had to go. So he will have a bill coming soon. And Vera and I have discussed this, and she has requested, I think, another 4,000, Vera, is that correct?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and I think we need to wait for that deposit to come in, wait for Jeff Battistoni's bill to come in. I don't know the status of Julie and Bruce's billing, but the idea here is not to get into billing too much, that we don't want to leave the town with a bill. So we need to try to get it clear, and that is a condition of approval. So I'm kind of sitting on it for now, and hopefully everything will get squared away.
Sounds good.
It's boring, but it'll be more exciting when we're at the point where it can be signed. So moving to Route 52 development, there haven't been any new submittals. There was offline consultation, and as a result, I did an update memorandum in consultation with Bruce and Julie. And then during the conversation, there was a question about the status of zoning amendment and whether they were proceeding or not. And the reason that came up is because there was confusion about actions the town board had taken, and how that left things, whether or not there was still an option for the applicant to petition the town, whether it was wise or not. In any case, so I gave my update in my memorandum, and then Michael Caruso, the applicant's attorney, then issued an email and attached some information, and all those materials have been forwarded to the planning board. So you have that information. We're waiting for submittal and clarification on the project, and then we'll see if we need to amend the scope. Nothing to do now.
Great, thanks. Next, Annunziata.
So Nunziata was formerly the Bellargion site, which was formerly Orel on Kentview Drive. I believe that they have provided their inspection fee. We're still waiting on the erosion control bond, but it seems like they're moving ahead. So once we get all the paperwork straightened out, I believe they're pretty close to CO. But of course, right now there's no erosion control bond in place, so that the town doesn't have any protection. So that's moving ahead.
Thank you.
Rodriguez subdivision, we're waiting on a resubmittal. They were going to make some changes. We haven't seen that yet. Ranieri, I believe they're looking to have some of the, yeah.
No,
Liz?
keep going, and then I'll wait and I'll talk after.
Oh, okay. They're looking to start moving ahead, but I believe that their account with the town is in arrears. So until that gets replenished and they provide a full submittal to respond to all of our comment memos, we don't have anything new to add. Liz, is that?
My only footnote was that the applicant's engineer forwarded some materials directly to me, so I reached out to Vera to find out why I was getting that directly, and she advised me that there's no escrow. So we need a submittal and we need escrow.
Okay.
Kent Development, Hilltop Estates, that was for timber harvest. They were quite close to getting their erosion control permit, but now the tree clearing window has closed. So I'm not quite sure where that leaves us, if they're going to move ahead so they can be ready in the fall or what. So right now that's still hanging out there. The Guerre Cargan property, we're still waiting on a formal letter to withdraw their application for erosion control. Kent Materials, nothing new right now. DeSanza, I don't think there's anything new. And then Cabrera, we're still waiting on a resubmittal for that one as well.
Well, you'll all have to stay here until at least 9:30. I don't care.
So what do you want to talk about?
Just joking. Questions,
TV?
anybody?
Sure.
Comments? Can I get a
Mr.
motion to close the meeting?
I think
Bill?
Bruce,
Yes,
No.
Rick, please.
I'm sorry. I just have one additional comment. We discussed this at the workshop regarding the Bochia property. The board will recall that there had been a violation on that property with tree cutting. The
Right.
Boches had included a mitigation plan to replant the area in question as part of the site plan approval. The Boches have decided to not move forward with the project. And so I went out to the site and had a look. Site has had native vegetation colonize the areas that were disturbed, and they were doing quite well. My recommendation to the board is that there is currently monies held in escrow, and that I do not advocate taking out plants that are thriving to replace them with plants that might thrive. So my recommendation to the board is that the site, pending any determination by the building inspector, is stable and need not be further replanted, and the bond, or excuse me, the escrow monies can be released back. But I will, of course, defer to the building inspector in terms of any violations. But Bill, you got any thoughts?
I mean, I went out there a couple months ago, and prior to you going out, and the site's stable. I can get you a letter off. Let's see if I can get it off this weekend to you. I've also had another phone call. That property is up for sale, and there's another person who's interested in buying it.
Okay, so then I guess the discussion would be, would the board feel comfortable authorizing release of the escrow money back to the Boches? And how much is it for $3,400?
Yeah, it's like $3,400. And again, you know, I'll have to deduct your bill too, so just let me know how much it was for your visit.
Okay, so I'm not sure what that is. So whatever it is, $3,400 minus whatever my invoice said would be, we'll say
Okay.
$3,100, and that would be fine.
Okay,
Questions, anybody?
need to make a motion.
I know. Questions, anyone? Can I get a motion to return this money to the Boches?
I'll make that motion. Steve.
A second?
I'll second it.
Neeson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Giancarlo?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
I vote yes. It passes. Anything else? You're sure? You're all sure now?
You guys did great tonight.
I get used to doing it this way. Can I get a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Charlie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Neeson?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Giancarlo?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Go home, stay safe, wear a mask. See you next month.
Stay well,
Thanks, Bill.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Stay
Thank
well.
you. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.